DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We are joined once again by Robbie Bosco, former BYU quarterback, current BYU athletics administrator. Robbie, good morning. Welcome back to the show.
DJ, has been a long time since I've talked to you boys.
I know. It's good to have you back. We realized, though, and PK is the one who actually realized this. He's like, there's a lot of stuff going on at BYU, and you know who sits at the crossroads, the intersection of all these storylines, is Robert Bosco. Yes.
Oh, PK, way to think about me. It must be a slow. I was just thinking it was a slow Friday or something.
Oh, man. Well, there's a three-way battle for quarterback, right? Now, who played quarterback at BYU? Who was a quarterback coach at BYU? Who's seen a bunch of these, right? You got a new athletic director. So with new administration, people always, new ideas, new people want to do things their way. There ought to be some changes there. I mean, the times demand it, right? With the leagues reorganizing all the time and NIL and the transfer portal. Like you're at the intersection of all these stories. All these players who leave after spring ball because the situation isn't right, including one of the current guys at BYU, and you're sitting there like, yeah, I know I had to sit 2 or 3 years. I knew I didn't know what I was doing. That would have been scary if they threw me into a game. Totally different mindset.
It is. I mean, and it's been a few years that the mindset. I mean, freshmen want to come in and they want to go somewhere where they can play, and they want to play right away. And look at, I always thought that was a difficult thing. I always thought it was like, coming in as a freshman, there's so much to learn and everything. But I think kids are coming in way more prepared than I was prepared to play. And as far as size and strength, knowledge, being coached in high school differently then than you were, back when I played, I just think that whole mindset is different. So I think people that are young and freshmen are way more prepared and way better off to try to play now than waiting 2 or 3 years.
There's 3 guys competing for the starting job, right? And this time in August is literally what's going to determine it. And as a player, no matter what sport, you want to be loose. You want to be free. You want to be able to just play and not think about it. How do you go about that and not be in a situation where you're not stressing over every single play as a quarterback, whether you're doing well or the other guys are doing better? It seems like for those 3 guys, this would be a stressful situation and maybe hard to be free, loose, and easy and all that stuff.
That's true. I think when you're in a battle running and each play, each throw, each read, each decision is going to impact the coaches on what's going to happen. So you almost have to have that kind of cockiness. Who's got the most confidence where they can feel a little looser and things like that. But it's going to come down to, I've been watching these kids throw, and they can all throw a football. And they really haven't done a whole lot yet. I know I think they're having a scrimmage one of these days coming up soon. And I think it's going to be the guy that can make the plays, that can move the chains, and that's going to determine a lot on who plays. And sometimes you, as a coach, you make that right decision, and sometimes you don't. And then you just have to kind of give guys another chance, because a game situation is way different than on practice. And so it's going to be interesting. I feel very confident in all 3 of these guys. I think they're all very good players, and hopefully they can just hang in there, because they're all going to get a chance to play. I don't know, the last quarterback, there's not very many quarterbacks that can go through a whole season without getting dinged or hurt. And someone's going to have to step up and make some big plays. And so hopefully they can all feel good about being at BYU and stick around for a while.
Bear Bachmeier, I have been told how much talent he has and how impressive he is. And I'm a little curious that he left Stanford after spring football. I mean, I get they have an interim coach, which means right away you're going to have 2 coaches in 2 years. So that's just not a good situation. But on the other hand, the interim coach is Frank Reich, who quarterbacked and coached in the NFL, so maybe you could learn a thing or two for him. But for whatever reason, he makes a decision, he comes here, but now he's trying to win the job at BYU, but he didn't have spring ball, so he's got to get to know all these teammates, build relationship, get your brain in sync with these receivers. When a play breaks down, everybody's got to know what everybody's got to do. The timing's got to be great. And he's got to get his arms all the way around the offense and the protection in like 3 weeks. Like, you could be the best quarterback. 3 weeks isn't very long, Robbie. Is that realistic?
Yeah. I mean, there are certain guys that can do it, though. And I don't know where Bear sits with that. I'm not with him all the time and things like that. But it takes a special guy. And I've watched him practice, and they were doing some 7-on-7, with pass rushers and everything like that. Obviously, no one's going super hard, but they're going hard enough. And that guy, he knows what's going on. I think he's got a super good mind. I think he graduated high school early, and so he's got it up top. And physically, he's a big, solid kid. I think if I had a pair of legs like him, I might still be playing. I mean, this guy looks like a beast, and so I think that part. But yeah, you're right though. It's very difficult to have a total grasp on everything. And when does the game slow down? That's when you become a really good player. Is when the game slows down, and the game only slows down with experience. And playing out there and getting a feel and getting an understanding of what defenses are doing. And all three of these guys, they've got to put a ton of work in the film room and watch film on every team that we're going to be playing coming up to it and have an understanding. And even with that, a lot of it comes down to physical toughness and mental ability to make plays. Because very rarely do you drop back in a pocket and you sit there and it's like, oh, this is so easy back here. I've got no pressure at all, and you can find an open receiver. But things break down all the time, and it's the ones that can make plays when things are broken down more so than the other guy.
Yeah, I think that's where you had a guy like Detmer really succeed, and maybe one or two others. I don't want to mention their names, but I think we know who they might be, that when it did break down, which is often, if not always, that they couldn't make plays and they had all the star rankings and it wasn't able to translate. The way I'm looking at it here is that BYU has flipped the schedule completely. For years, for a decade plus, the stronger part of the schedule was up front-loaded, and then the easier part was in the back. And so when they had Zach Wilson, I think they targeted an opportunity for him to get out on the field because they knew when the schedule was softer. Well, here it's reverse, obviously. You could make a strong argument that the easier games are in the beginning. And then you get in that Big 12, and I know the Cougs have only been in it in 2 years, but it's a pretty good conference, and just about any team is capable of beating anybody else. So you got to really be ready. How much do you think that factors into the decision, particularly with a freshman, if they think that, okay, if he had just 2 or 3 games, he might be able to really take on the conference season, but if we wait, it's harder to insert him. I can't find a week where you could pick him to play in any given opponent in the Big 12. How do you think that's going to play out in terms of them making the decision that the schedule now is reverse of where it had been for many years as an independent?
Yeah, I think that's always the tough part of coaching and anticipating. I think it's very difficult to think like that. Like, okay, we can give this guy's got the biggest up, and I'm not even going to put who I think has the biggest upside or what the ranking is of these 3 quarterbacks. I'm just looking at, let's say right now, the guy that's playing the 3rd best, but he might have the biggest upside. Well, if you think about, if he has a couple of games under his belt, he might just push forward and be the guy. I think it's very difficult to think like that because college football is so different than any other sport. You don't have any preseason games. You don't have any playing games that don't matter or don't count.
Right.
Game one counts. And you lose game one, no matter who you're playing, you're on an uphill battle now. For maybe not for the conference, because you can still win the conference, but you're on an uphill battle for rankings. And that's what it's all about, rankings now, right?
Yeah.
And we've learned very quickly that it's going to be very tough for an 8-3 BYU team to be ranked way up there high. And so you've got to win now, and you got to put your best player in there right now. And they're going to pick the guy who they think can win. And it doesn't matter if it's Bear or Trayson or McKay. They got to figure this out, and they're with them. That's what a lot of fans don't understand is the coaches are with these guys every single day in meetings, in practices, treatment, whatever they may be. They know these kids inside and out, and us fans, we see him on Saturday afternoons. Oh, the other guy has to be better than that. Did you see that throw? I mean, that's just kind of what sports is, though, right? Our opinions are what's happening right now, and not really who deserves to be there. And so, none of these guys really have a ton of experience. Each Trayson and McKay have played for sure on the other teams, but not at BYU. And like what we talked about before, you're learning a new system with new players, and what's happening right now in practice is this is kind of their show, and they're trying to showcase their talents on who can be, and the coaches. This is never an easy decision, and so it's not only just the guy that can make plays throwing it, who can scramble, who can, like when we had Jalen Hall as our QB. That dude, he was hard to sack. There was pressure on him a lot, and he was able to evade that getting sacked because he was able to maneuver in the pocket and escape and then make plays running with the ball. And so that's what keeps the chains moving. It's not only sitting in the pocket making all these passes. Things break down, so you got to be able to make plays different ways all the time. So I think that's what it's going to come down when they make that decision.
On the administrative side of this, how much pressure is there to bring in more money, raise more money? Because with NIL, the expenses year after year, they just keep adding up. I mean, I just read about Texas Tech. They'd landed some senior, I think he was an offensive lineman, now some junior linebacker, and they're throwing around $20 million in NIL money. Or is that pretty much lined up? The boosters are committed, they get it, and with the tech industry, there's some deep pockets, and things are kind of set, and you're focused on other things. How is that working?
It's hard. I mean, think about it. We're raising more money than we ever have, and then they add on top of that $20.5 million more that we have to generate. And, our donors at BYU are amazing, and they want to help as much as they can help. But still, it's very difficult, to go out there, and so you just have to keep finding new blood and new people that are willing to help, and you just keep banging the doors and trying to get people to help out and things like that. It's crazy what college athletics has turned into. This went from, my picture was on that Game Boy 20 years ago, so why aren't the athletes getting money from that, to, we need to start paying these athletes millions of dollars now. So it's just crazy what it's turned into. So there's got to be the biggest thing that kind of bugs me is the unlimited transfer portal. That's where that part's got to stop. because you may be getting paid $500,000 and go, oh, thanks for that check. Oh man, that school 3 states away wants to pay me 1.5 now, so I'm going to leave. And there's no more like loyalty. And I think Kalani has done a fabulous job of spreading out the wealth the best that he can, and trying to make everybody feel good and feel happy about it. But it's crazy, and we just got to keep going. We got to be in the game, right? I mean, if you're not in the game, if you ignore it, then you're going to get swallowed. So you just got to try to do the best you can and do it. And I have a feeling we're doing pretty good. I mean, AJ is a pretty good basketball player, and he came to BYU, so that's a pretty awesome start.
Yeah, you've seen this growth that when you first entered administration, 20 years ago now, after coaching for more than a decade. So you got all this experience in different ways. Any level of surprise that BYU has been so desirous and willing and wanting to play the game, as you say, because they have this rep of trying to do things a little more, some would say cheap, maybe cost effective, depending on how politically correct you want to be. But now it looks like, they are willing to do essentially whatever it takes. They keep saying they're not the highest bidder. Fine. Well, I don't want to argue that, but they clearly are willing to spend the money. Is that a level of surprise for you from where you've been?
I think everything you just mentioned right there, I think there's a little bit of everything in that. Yes, we are willing. Yes, we know what it can do for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We know what it can do for our athletes and our fan base who have a great passion, as do other sport programs. But I still think that we don't want to just, like some of that NIL stuff and things like that, that comes from outside, and really as administrators, fundraisers, we're not really involved with that. So like when I was playing and I asked DJ for $100,000, he wouldn't give it to me. He was a cheap dude.
Yeah, I hear you. Right, and he had it too.
Do.
And he had excess.
I know what he gets paid there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I told you.
So maybe I should have asked both of you guys for a little bit of money.
50 each, but maybe you get it. Yeah.
Oh, I guess that hamburger maybe back then was probably sufficient. But it's tough. I don't think we are, I don't think we do things crazily around here. I think, obviously our athletic teams would like to do more and more and more, but, obviously we have to remain inside of a budget and be careful that way. But the NIL stuff is kind of really out of our hands, and people from the outside, we don't even know who gets paid what and how much, and things happen, and they can keep that as quiet as they want to.
Right.
Now, if someone is doing a commercial for somebody, then you have, they must be paying them something or something like that. But so outside that is not really part of what we do as fundraisers here.
I'm intrigued, and I thought this would happen, but I didn't think enough. I thought that there are people at various schools, BYU included, but all around the country, who have a real passion for the Olympic sports, right? Something beyond football and men's basketball. And you, as an administrator, you have to feed those beasts. I mean, everything hangs on football, right? That's probably at least 80, maybe 90% of the deal. Basketball a little bit, and then everything else kind of has its niche. But nonetheless, I think there are people with a passion for that. And somebody is going to try to buy their way to the top in whatever sport, volleyball, soccer, baseball, softball. And sure enough, Texas Tech pays a pitcher $1 million, and they are in the college softball World Series, and they are in the championship, the last two teams. And I'm wondering if you see that kind of passion from boosters when you're out raising money. Are there people, because BYU has a good history in women's soccer and in women's volleyball, and baseball not recently, certainly golf, but baseball if you go back a little bit. So I'm wondering if these sports, or maybe one I haven't even mentioned, if you talk to people who are like, I really want to help this sport?
There are people that don't probably care about football or even basketball, but they have a passion for other sports. I don't personally know of anything that, like what Texas Tech has done, because they gave that pitcher another $1 million to stay for her senior year.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to our softball coach, and he said, yeah, they just signed the second best pitcher in the country. So they're going to have both of them, and I don't know how much they gave her, but I think it was a pretty good penny as well. And so you'll probably see them back. And I think I just like I said before, I don't know, but I don't think there's anyone going that passionate. But I think there's other players in other sports at BYU that are probably doing pretty good. And I don't even know what pretty good is. I mean, when you think about $1 million to give, it's just a lot of money. And I don't know, the you're not really getting any return other than you want to see them win, and you just bought the best player for them to win. And that's kind of how that NIL thing goes, I think. So
it's crazy in that way. You know, I look at it like the Eccles family. They've done a lot for Utah's athletics, right? And they put their name on the facility, whatever facility it is, the tennis center, the football facility, and then it stays there, you know, for 25 years as a functional building for the particular sport. In this situation here, how do you keep going back year after year after year? To say to these people, it's not like you build something and then it sits there for basically the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? It has to be something that is annual, if not even more than once a year. I'm just wondering, how do you guys do that as fundraisers to go and ask continuously you need to donate, not just a one-shot deal?
No, it's that, because that is one of the hardest things that we're faced with, because we have a lot of amazing donors that are very generous and are very supportive, and they give, but it's very difficult to keep going back to the same people. And a lot of it's got to be relationship building, because some of the people, if you don't have a great relationship with them, it's, to them, I'm sure it feels like, you know, every time you call me, it's that you want more.
Right.
And so that gets old. And
it's like your adult
totally
kids.
get that. And our team gets, our fundraising team gets that as well. So you try to build relationships, but it's hard to build relationships when you have, you know, whatever level and amount of players. There's a lot more people that are giving than we have people working here. So it's not just a one-on-one thing. It's one on 150. And you can't build amazing relationships with that many people. It's just very difficult to do. So you just got to figure out and be creative of different ways to do it. And like I said before, you have to go get new blood. And that's the hardest thing to do. It's easy to grab the low-hanging fruit, but to get to that apple at the top of that tree, it's not an easy task to do, but you have to go get those guys, and you need help, right? I think you need help. I think when we look at our good donors and our good friends, you talk to them about, hey, who do you know that can help us, that's passionate about BYU? And, you know, you just got to build off that and just keep knocking on doors.
Well, Rob, I will give you a little hint on an insight. Is DJ's coming up on contract renegotiations?
Oh, yes. I'm sure he's writing a check out right now. I love it.
Well, I have a serious question on all this. I know when you stopped coaching and you went and started doing the fundraising deal, people are like, oh, yeah, Robbie gets to go golf now. But now that you're raising, because you're building relationships, right? And you're going to ask these people for money. So you have to golf. You know, your arm is twisted, Robbie. Now that you have to do, you know, you get called in and it's like, okay, well, now the school can give $20 million. You guys have to go raise $20 million. I'm wondering, you saying goodbye to the munis? Are you just country clubs up in Summit County now? private courses?
It's interesting. It's a good comment because people, you're exactly right. I mean, people are like, oh, he's golfing, this and that.
Yep.
But if you think about talking to a CEO, and if that CEO loves the golf, say, well, you're not going to go to his business and be able to talk for 4 hours.
Right.
You might get 10 minutes. And then the first thing, before you even say hello or shake his hand, you have to start talking about giving. Well, you go on a golf course, now it can be very casual. It can be you can squeeze in that little thing within 4 hours pretty easily. And people love to golf. And so it's a great tool for all of us that golf and are able to do that with donors and things like that. So that's the one thing we do. We like to bring people to practice. We kind of try to do things that are fun for them. We have a big scholarship dinner coming up where people pay to sponsor a student athlete. And so that's a great one-on-one time where the student athlete and the donor get together, sit at the same table, and just get to talk and just get to see each other, which doesn't happen all the time. And you get to see them other than in their football uniform or basketball uniform. And so it's a very casual thing, but that's a great thing that we do. So you just got to try to do as many different things as you can do and stir the pot, because not everybody likes to golf. But coming to these dinners and then listening to our student athletes and listen to their stories and who they are, where they came from, they're amazing. We have amazing student athletes in our programs in all the sports, and that's a big part of what we like to do too.
You know how, DJ, when you've been someplace many times, like I go to the gym, right, and I'll get in the car and my phone will say, it's 8 minutes to High Point. They just automatically know. When Bosco gets in his car, it immediately shows the mileage in minutes to Red Ledges up there in Heber.
Well, you might have a good point there. I don't know.
So
I'm not going to deny it.
Hey, have you played Pebble Beach?
I have played Pebble. I was just up in Ogden Country Club playing up there.
Good gig, Robbie.
Played with some donors and played with Patrick Fishburne, Patrick Fishburne hits the ball a long way and very well too, by the way.
Oh, that,
yeah, right?
Noticed. Yeah, that's kind of a common theme there among PGA golfers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Get on the PGA Tour. Turns out you can hit it a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Robbie. We appreciate it as always. You're the man.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
All right,
Talk to you soon.
Robbie Bosco, former BYU quarterback, joined us right here on the Zone. DJ and PK, I had like 17 more questions for him, but it turns out
I agree.
Yock is like, we were supposed to break 10 minutes ago. Anytime, guys. All right, we'll break right now. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
It's hard not to sell the idea of BYU stock, so to speak, in football without knowing what the quarterback situation is. And when Joel Klatt is calling him Trayshawn Bourget and Bear Brockmeyer, then I think that is only an indicator of the fact that you have guys in there that you have no clue what you're going to get.
That's a problem.
For me, I get why he's selling it. I didn't necessarily agree with the defensive side of it. Jacob Robinson is a huge piece that goes missing.
And they lost their defensive tackles, but they brought in Keanu Tanavasa.
And I will say, too, this BYU defense is going to be still very good. You know why? They plug guys into their system. They're relentless about learning that system. And when you get that defense down, how many times have we heard it? Kalani's like, this is a defense that scheme-wise you have to get familiar with. And once you are, and you're plugged in, we can make it work.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Soccer Ready Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit their website at trajanwealth.com. We got free tickets to give away today. It's Free Ticket Friday. Caller 12 right now. 801-575-ZONE wins a pair of tickets to see Pantera in the heaviest tour of the summer at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 20th. 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. Call right now. All right, PK, we covered a lot of ground in this show. What would you like to share with the people? Robbie Bosco just get you going just in the last segment? Jason Christ in the last hour?
Yeah, well, when we're talking to Jason Christ, we're going big picture rather than particular X and O in any given game, because that's his leadership role. And then listening to him talk about the difference that the Miller family, with their 40-year history of a proven track record in running professionals franchises, and he said is making a significant difference. Well, that bodes well. There's just no other way around it. That bodes very well for the competitive nature of the team, for the fans, for the stability, all things considered. So, soccer is not the top of the food chain, but I think it's an underestimated storyline of what this ownership will do for this franchise.
I was intrigued that he said they might still add another striker. I thought, they brought in 2. That's probably it. But he definitely left the door open for bringing in somebody, and it sounded, you can go back and listen to the interview wherever you get your podcasts, our website, wherever. Doesn't matter. It's everywhere. Yacht posted to the world. And you can listen, in his tone to me, he said, man, this could be a significant signing, not just a guy. And who knows, a guy can pay off.
Yeah, we'll see the level of...
They've got multiple people in their starting 11 who didn't come in with any hype. It's like we talk about in football, the 2 or 3 star can be a star. You don't have to be a 4 or 5 star to...
Give me that man between the pipes any day.
Rafa Cabral was unsigned, free agent, out of contract, just out there. He's played very well for him.
Yeah, so excited for what the future holds for them. And then Robbie Bosco, the quarterback nature that he can speak to because he's been there to see. We're all going to be, it's the story of camp. It's the story of camp in the state. Who's going to be the quarterback? And it's also maybe not the singular story, but it's most definitely a story in the Big 12. Everyone wants to know who
BYU's quarterback is. Yeah. Yeah, well, there's this whole recognition that they have a good team.
They do.
And if you get really good quarterback play, then that elevates it, and all of a sudden, look out.
That's a fact, yeah.
And now no one has any idea what kind of play they're going to get.
I can argue that it is the training camp story in the Big 12.
Yeah, because there's so many good quarterbacks, and so many things are kind of locked down and up to speed. And, you look around the league, and, depending on your perspective, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks who might put together excellent seasons.
I'm very capable, yeah. And they're established starters. I think, you got Oklahoma State, West Virginia, off the top of my head, that don't have an established starter yet. Maybe they do by now. I'm not looking at that stuff every day, but I think they went into the summer with different possibilities. And the rest, as I just do a quick, in my mind, run through it, have got their quarterback set, and then BYU has that, and they lose their quarterback in an unusual way, and certainly an unusual timing. And then is this the first quarterback ever who could start the first game after participating in someone else's spring ball? Come on. We know that for decades and decades that never happened. And yet
here we are.
It's a decent possibility. Yeah. I don't know who the starter is going to be, but it's a possibility. He's in the mix. Minimally, if you just statistic it out, there's a 33% chance, obviously. So we'll see what happens here. And Bosco was talking about the scrimmage that they've got, and that's tomorrow. And then they're doing a conference call for the media afterward. We're not allowed to see it. I am thinking about, doing that Bobby Valentine one time, putting fake glasses and a mustache, see if I can get in there. Say, no, I'm a Cougar Club donor, man. Yeah.
Bobby Valentine.
Remember he did that in the dugout?
Like 30 years ago.
Did he do that in the dugout once?
He did. Oh, yeah, absolutely did. He got kicked out and did some stupid disguise.
So I could bring 5 disguises, get kicked out, and come back with another disguise. What do you think?
Yeah, do that.
Maybe they might just get tired of kicking me out.
Who was it? Was it Eli Manning who did the disguise and then pretended to be some walk-on quarterback? He had a ton of makeup. Bobby Valentine was basically at some joke shop gift store and spent $12.
Greg Maddux did that, I think, at UNLV baseball. I think he was helping out with the pitchers. and he did something, came in there and started giving crazy advice or something. Maddox, as I understand, is a real jokester. If you listen to, I remember John Smoltz talking about Maddox, where he was, they brought in Russ Ortiz, so obviously he has a Hispanic surname, and so Maddox started talking to him really slow, so he could learn English. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And so Maddox was speaking real slow English to Russ Ortiz, who, of course, is an American, even though he has a Hispanic surname, speaks English. But Maddox liked to play those pranks, and he did that one time. There was one prank I saw with Dave Roberts. He was a player, manager of the Dodgers now, and he came out. There was something he had to do before the game about teaching the batter how to bunt or something, and it was a young kid. And so the dad or who's ever with him is just screaming at the kid, and you can see Robert's like, dude, take it easy, man. And it was all a big setup. Just Buzz Roberts as they're just lambasting the kid for not learning how to bunt correctly, and Roberts was trying to show him how to bunt.
That's all to watch his reaction.
It was, yes.
Nice. The kid and the dad are in on it. And just
totally. They're
selling
100%. Yeah.
Just selling it.
It was pretty funny.
All right, DJ PK, when we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere.
Question of the morning. You are responding. What's your most painful moment in sports? Tyler, I hated getting smoked by the Spurs in 07. It wasn't even close.
It was not.
Knew that would happen. I was hoping for better.
Yeah, but kind of lucked into that final series, though, in the Western Conference.
Did get an upset of the one seed there that opened the
Seattle.
path. I thought Dallas got beat that year.
Was it Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay. They were the one seed. And Nowitzki's MVP year. I think that, for me, the most painful moment in sports was listening to you go on that manifesto.
Yeah. It was Arizona State losing to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl for 13-0 and a national championship.
Yeah, the second one, because we did get the Sporting News one in 75.
Right.
Doesn't matter that I wasn't a fan then.
Tyler, I made a half-court buzzer beater in a church ball game to send it to OT, and then they didn't pass me the ball at the end of OT. My buddy missed a free throw. We lost by one, and that hurt.
That's got to sting.
The Blazers losing the Lakers in Game 7 of the 2000 Western Conference Finals, blowing a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. I still can't watch that highlight pass from Kobe to Shaq that sealed it. It's painful 25 years later.
That was rigged.
It's rigged. The no-pass interference call against the Rams when they played the Saints in the NFC title game. The Rams player leveled the Saints wide receiver right in front of the officials. They ignored it. The Rams won the game and went on to play in the Super Bowl.
I remember that.
That was a bad missed call. I mean, you don't like to talk about referees, but that was a big play at the end of a close game.
It certainly was.
That was a huge one.
And you're going to tell me it was the only non-missed call they had the entire game?
Probably. I think the referees were just perfect lights out until that one moment.
Yes. Well, once you introduce one, you have to introduce all of them. That's my statement.
It's not significant in the grand scheme of things, but being there in person for the Dellavedova half-court heave at the buzzer in the Marriott Center stands out.
Well, no sport is significant in the grand scheme of things unless it's Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier.
Multiple people send this one, which I think has to be, it's the worst loss for the Utes in the time we've been here. The Utes have a halftime lead in the 1998 NCAA men's basketball championship game, end up falling apart in the second half. It's the only time I've ever felt pain from sports.
You know, I've had people tell me that.
Yeah. That was such a rare opportunity, and they had a 10-point lead at the half.
Yeah, sitting courtside. I thought they're going to win.
Yeah, it was so set up. It was right there.
I was thinking, how in the world are they going to lift him on their shoulders? Yes. That was my big concern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I felt bad for all Ute fans and all the players and maybe a coach or two.
What's the loss for the Cougars that compares to that? I mean, it's easy to define one for the Utes. Can you define one for BYU? I mean, the 14-1 Cotton Bowl season, the one came so early to Washington. You know, if you lose late and you're so close to a perfect season, but it was like the second or third game of the year.
Yeah, you hate to go just yesterday, metaphorically, but the football team with a couple of those both losses.
We have had people say the Kansas game. We've had multiple people say that.
Yeah, the ball hitting the kid in the head.
Yeah,
was it Evan Johnson on they looked like they might be in a play and they punted. I mean, that was ridiculous. And then, well, I'd like to say they're in the playoff, but they probably would have had to have beat the other team in the conference final.
The Rob father says sitting in the Rose Bowl watching C.J. Stroud destroy the Utes defense to set up the game-winning field goal.
I just don't think that was devastating.
I felt like it was going to happen as soon as the extra point was kicked. I literally thought this could be the one time that the coach who just tied the game should onside the kick and try to recover it. Because if you give the ball to Ohio State, they're going down the field every time in this game. You know, I think early in the game they didn't quite realize who was in the secondary and what was happening, and then at some point it clicked in like, wait a minute. They're playing guys in the secondary who don't even play defensive back.
I think the thrill of the Rose Bowl and the glorious day, and it was the first time, I think that supersedes the actual loss.
And the fact there were so many electric plays, and the fact they fought back to tie the game with their backup quarterback.
I don't think that stung like a loss should sting.
I think there's some people who would put that in the best loss category.
I don't think there's any question.
Yeah. All right, DJ PK, we're all done. Ben's up next right here on The Zone.